interactive webinar on the fascinating topic, a talk on new dimensions of geospatial technology. This webinar will delve into the latest advancements, emerging trends, and transformative applications of geospatial technology. Our esteemed panel of experts will share their invaluable insights, offering us a glimpse into the new dimensions this technology is unlocking and its profound impact on diverse industries and sectors. We have with us today two great personalities, Mr. Ravi Achalla and our very own alumni of Symbiosis International Deemed University, Mr. Rajat Chopra. I welcome you both to this interactive session of ours. Without further ado, I will now pass it to my team members for a brief introduction of our guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Pragya. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my distinct honor to introduce our guest for today, Dr. Ravi Achalla, a distinguished leader in the field of GIS. As Director of GIS Lead at Cognizant, Mr. Achalla oversees the GIS competency within the engineering and manufacturing solutions practice. He is the single point of contact for all GIS-related requirements, encompassing data management, application development, testing, and integration. With a rich tenure at Cognizant, Dr. Achalla has led the execution of numerous GIS development projects across a range of technologies, including GE Small World, S3, and Autodesk. His expertise not only lies in project execution, but also in the strategic competence building of his team, ensuring they stay at the forefront of GIS technology. Dr. Achalla's visionary leadership and deep technical knowledge make him a key figure in shaping the future of geospatial technology. Today, he will share his valuable insights on the enveloping dimensions of GIS and its impact across various industries. It is my honor to welcome you, sir. Over to you, Alankrita.
Okay. Thank you, but a small correction, I'm not a doctor. Okay, thank you. That's all right.
Thank you, Azma. Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the second speaker of our session today, Mr. Rajat Chopra. Mr. Rajat Chopra is a CAPM certified senior GIS program and project manager at Bold with 9+ years of experience in developing, implementing, and managing geospatial programs. Mr. Rajat Chopra is passionate about a plethora of fields, including data analysis, project management, and providing innovative solutions to complex GIS projects to create a positive solution, providing impact across the world. To briefly describe his enriching and inspiring journey, after completing his master's in Geoinformatics, Mr. Rajat Chopra embarked on this path as a project engineer at Wipro Technologies, Hyderabad. He then proceeded to a geo developer in Indian Institute for Human Settlements, where he worked with the geospatial team, contributing tremendously in providing customized GIS solutions for projects undertaken by the Geospatial Lab. Further, as a GIS analyst at Tesco, Bengaluru, he worked in designing .com catchments supported in simulations-based modeling, which all act as a catalyst to the smooth and efficient execution of the projects from start to end. Mr. Rajat Chopra has experience in working as research or teaching assistant at our very own Symbiosis Institute of Geoinformatics, and he developed methods for the extraction and evaluation of building footprints from stereo high resolution satellite imagery. He developed an understanding the cause and effect of urban heat island over urban vegetation and health. He also conducted various co-curricular activities which helped students bridge the gap between academia and corporate skills. And he also guided our students in completing their dissertation work in GIS. And after about a year of experiences in academia, Mr. Rajat Chopra worked as the senior map content engineer at TomTom Pune, and he also further gained experience as the project manager at Amazon. Currently, as the senior project manager at Bolt, Mr. Rajat Chopra successfully engages with stakeholders and has formulated and created a new improvement program, POC, by utilizing customer support tickets to update Bolt maps. So we are extremely delighted to have you with us today, sir. We are rest assured that your insights and glimpses of your experience will motivate and guide us aspirants. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Now,
Alankrita, for a detailed introduction. I had never thought I would get a so detailed introduction ever. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
Now, to embark on this interactive journey, we will begin with a question-answer session. As we have received various questions from all the aspiring students who choose to dominate the geospatial domain in years to come, I request the members of my team to begin with the free set of questions now. Thank you.
So now, we are going to start with the pre-set of questions. So my first question is to Ravi sir. In what ways do GIS or geospatial technology transforming the transportation and logistic industry in coming years?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So I would rather than me answering this, like, right. So I would rather request Rajat to jump onto this because he is part of a critical such company, TomTom, which is doing phenomenal. Okay, in this transportation side of the things, like, right. So he's helping us drive with the solutions like what a Google Map provides or so on. So they are great competitors to Google and etc. etc. So I would rather request, okay, Rajat to jump onto this. Okay, and then I will add on top of it, like, right. So
Okay, so sure, thanks Ravi for putting me in there. But I wanted to know, like, do you guys wanted to understand in terms of the logistics and last mile, how does it work, or like can you just add in like repeat the question if it is possible?
Yes, sir. The question is, in what ways do you envision geospatial technology transforming the transportation and logistic industry in coming years?
Okay. So I think considering with my background with TomTom, which is entirely a mapping company or a location-based technology company, and right now when I work with Bolt, I work with a ride-hailing company. So essentially, geospatial technology is the core of both of these companies. But I would also like to say, like, geospatial technology is a great tool. I would not say that this is the only essential or this is the only essential science or technology which is required to run a company like a ride-hailing company or like Uber or Ola or for example Bolt. What is Bolt? Just to give you a brief of it, Bolt is a competitor of Uber in a simpler understanding. How you have Ola, who is a competitor of Uber, and then you look for key कम price कौन दे रहा है, I'll go with that. In a similar way, I also provide lower prices. I also provide route optimizations, and what I want to do with geospatial technology or how I envision it is that in the coming years, you would essentially see that companies relying on last mile deliveries to basically enhance your experience, like companies like Myntra, companies like Flipkart, companies like Zomato, Swiggy, where you order in and भैया कहाँ पे हो, आ जाओ जल्दी आ जाओ, यहाँ पे है location. So geospatial technology will essentially play a crucial role in terms of figuring out the better address systems, in terms of figuring out the better, you could say, mapping technologies or spatial analysis of the data, and also in terms of improving how we move from A to B or so on and so forth. Ravi, in case you felt like I am misleading, feel free to jump in
No,
between,
no,
okay?
no, 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 absolutely. Like, right. So I have a lot of regard for TomTom and what Google does in terms of the route optimization and so on. So students and team, I love to call you as team rather than students and kids
Yeah.
and so on. So if we look at what's happening in the transportation and logistics thing, like, right. So what does geospatial provide? Okay, it's providing answers to where, right? So the where can pertain to a human being, the where can pertain to an asset, right?
Mhm.
Okay, with vis-a-vis, okay, a location. That's what it's providing. So and with where comes all this optimization things that, okay, if I have to go from here to there, then okay, what is the quickest route, what is the shortest route, and so on and so forth, which is what Google has already conquered, okay, and has become the de facto, like, right? Even on an Apple mobile, I will still go with a Google map, right?
Yeah.
To get my directions and okay, with a good enough accuracy and so on. Right. So that is continuing all through. Okay, and it's only expanding through the service industry, like, okay, the likes of the Ubers and Olas and okay, even our pizza kind of Pizza Huts and all deliveries, okay, Swiggies and so on and so forth. So that trend will continue. And as that trend is continuing, like, right, so people will look for betterment of okay, reaching to that last mile, okay,
Yeah.
as
I
fast and as efficiently as possible. You're saying
sorry.
something? Yeah,
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you in between your thought. Like I would say, like what we would see essentially is the better improvement of algorithms of the last mile.
exactly.
So if you guys are aware, like I think most of you would be using chat GPTs for your assignments now. If you're not using, you are missing out. Use it. But I'm not advocating it, okay? Don't quote me anywhere near to your director, sir. But what I'm essentially see is like improvement of algorithms in terms of which are used for you could say traveling salesman problem. So improvement of traveling salesman problem is something which is very, very essential in the coming years, or maybe a decade down the line. You would see geospatial technology to expand like humongously. But still, I would say geospatial technology not will be the core of it. Like that's what my experience says of almost 10 years now. I need to update my LinkedIn, so it was not 9. Now I've gained another years of experience. And overall, I see that these improvements can only be done with the help of geo or spatial data scientists. Not with data scientists, but spatial data scientists is something which I think are more crucial in the coming years. Because the spatial data scientists will understand not only the how the algorithms work, but they will also understand why what particular locations, something like should we set up hot zones or cold zones, something like heat maps which you create, and these essentially would help you in a longer run. So that's where I see it is heading in the improvement of algorithms, spatial data scientist, and improvement in last mile deliveries, address systems. I think these are the 4 key areas which I'll point to.
Absolutely. And all around that, okay, so how are they going to make the people and operations that much more effective, right? So for example, we keep listening to these stories that stories, or okay, some of them could be true. The Swiggy guides eat away some food, or they take longer time to reach out to the place, okay, where they need to go, and so on and so forth, like, right? So what we see as part of industry, okay, especially in this kind of food delivery kind of things, like, right, is my driver, okay, going on the right route, okay, to the right location, okay, and delivering it on time? Because as companies, there is a lot of competition that, okay, if you don't deliver it, if you don't get your parcel within, say, X minutes, right, then they give you free and those kind of things. Okay, that's the kind of okay, competition that the market is bringing in. And that's where, okay, the location and location enabled technologies are becoming that much more what should I say, critical, right? And for example, okay, if you see in some places, take a Rashtrapati Bhavan, maybe. I'm just giving a sample, or a White House, right? So the White House might have, imagine the president of US has ordered for a pizza, and he has only got one route to go. Okay, that the delivery guy has only one route to go to, right? It might have many entrances and exits, but then he will have only one specified route. But imagine the same thing for an apartment or a society like where we all live, right? It can have a front gate, it can have a back gate, and so on and so forth. And your house, okay, imagine, could be closer to the back gate rather than the front gate, right? So they are trying to make it so very accurate, okay, through mapping and so many other forms, right, to get you to the my last point, okay, to the closest to your target, like, right? So that kind of improvements are happening, and the algorithms are allowing us to get to that stage. Okay,
Yeah.
now does this algorithm really mean only location? Not exactly. Also, okay, it brings in a lot of other parameters, right? So it is spatial and non-spatial combining together, okay, to getting you to that ultimate, okay, this is the best and only possible route, kind of a thing. And that itself is also changing. Okay, if the traffic is high on one route and on another one, okay, even if it's longer, okay, they're checking all these kind of things and adding them into those algorithms, right? So those are things. The other thing from a logistics standpoint is, okay, while we know of traffic and this one, okay, traffic and, okay, reaching to one location and so on, okay, in the manufacturing and other industries, like, right, it is becoming very, very critical. Okay, I mean to say tracking of assets, or tracking of vehicles, tracking of okay, containers. Like, for example, you have milk, Okay, milk needs to be shipped from one place to the other. Okay, and it will only have a certain shelf life. I'm just throwing some
Yeah,
examples, right? So what they are doing is they are tying it to IoT and so on, such things. Okay, where they are constantly monitoring the health of what is there within the container. Okay, the assets and so on, while also tracking as to where the shipment is. Okay,
yeah.
and these kind of things are coming in. So it's not just only about transportation,
Yeah.
but okay, everything linked to transportation. Okay, for example, the health of the asset and so on and so forth. Like, right. So it is transforming. It's transforming for the good. Okay, is what I can call out like.
I'm not sure if that answered your question or you were looking in that direction, but if you have follow-up questions on it, please ask away.
Please.
Put it up in the chat section.
Thank you, sir. So now I would like to move on to the second question. The second question is, what is the market opportunity as business analyst in GIS sector? Question is for Rajat, sir.
Okay. Um, I think I'll answer it with my experience in Tesco. I think if you've not browse through my LinkedIn. I don't charge anything if somebody browses through my LinkedIn and why they visited. So I have an experience in Tesco, and I was potentially working in a capacity of business analyst. Now, as a business analyst, it does not mean that I was only helping business to improve the margins, or you could say the money, or however you want to put it. I was putting in a business from a geospatial perspective in terms of like where should our stores be located. Now, there are retail stores like how you have More or you have Star Bazaar and you have couple of grocery stores, right? How do you think people take into consideration where should I open up a new store? Some of you might have an example saying that we should look into demographics. Some of you might say we would also look into the age of demographics, whether there are elderly people or whether there are young people. If there are elderly people, there are high chances they will be using certain types of product. There are young people, they will have certain types of product. Now, this essentially was my role as a business analyst, and I believe as a business analyst, you would need understanding not only of geospatial, but also need an awareness in terms of like how this will help us in improving the sales of a particular store. Now, for example, if you guys are in Model Colony, because I've been there, you have More near the Model Colony. Now, if you look at the contents of the More, which is an Aditya Birla retail store, most of it has is your snack items. They are on display if you look at it from a geospatial perspective. And the reason why they do it is because you have a lot of colleges around it. You have Ferguson College, which is nearby on FC Road. You have another Symbiosis on University Road. You have Symbiosis on the Model Colony. All of these students live nearby. And the easiest thing they'll go is they'll go for snacky things. And as a business analyst, you should understand what is the margin of it. And I don't see that there should be a problem in terms of if you want to grow in the capacity of business analyst. Definitely you can grow, but if you get a similar opportunities in the initial growth, that could be, of course, that's not in your hands because companies look a lot of other things and you might have to strive or work hard in that way. Like I started my career in a capacity of developer. And I think if you would have asked my first manager, he would have said like I was not a good developer in that way. I was a developer, and then I started understanding, no, my focus area lies more on the business side of the things, and I start understanding analyst kind of thing, and then that's where I ventured into the role of business analyst. So definitely, it's a good thing, it's a good path, and grow. You can grow with it, but you will need to find your opportunities in your own fashion. I don't think you will get anything on the platter like, okay, I'll take this. Not sure, maybe the scenarios have changed, but this is what it was like 7, 8 years back. Anything from you, Ravi, on this? Like, because I think you are at a much higher experience and you might hire people. So anything on notes from your end on this?
Okay, can I share my screen? Okay, I think it's more about a career. It's more of a career question as I see. Is that
Yeah,
okay, team?
Yes, sir, you can do.
Okay, because I see this more as a uh, career question, and that's the reason I thought, okay, let me just
don't see there's an option to share the screen. So I have uni rights. You can share.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. I'm just sharing my screen now, and I hope you can see. It's causing me. It's asking me for some system preferences.
Is it a Mac by any chance?
Yeah, it is like that. So
You will have to exit the Zoom.
let's check. Okay, so I thought I just did it. And let me check. It doesn't allow.
Maybe you can take a screenshot if it is possible. I'm not sure what you wanted to share, but if you can add it in a chat or something.
Okay. So okay, basically, let me explain it, and maybe I'll put that snapshot on this one. But if you look at business analysis as a career, like, right? So we are ideally talking in terms of an IT career, right? IT career and then business analyst within an IT career. That's what most of you would be jumping into. So if you look at the role of a business analyst, the key functions of a business analyst, what is he going to do? Understand what the customer wants. So there is a customer. Okay, the customer has a project to get executed, right? He gives that project to a company like Cognizant or Bolt or somebody, right? And once the project starts, okay, that's when somebody will have to understand the requirements. Somebody will have to anchor all the requirements that the customer has given. Now, when the customer gives you requirements, okay, initially he will say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 lines, and then he says, okay, these are the 10 things that you need to go and deliver. Okay, but we as IT people, okay, how do I say? Okay, we are dumb. Yeah, so we ask a lot of questions, and asking that questions, okay, to try and make somebody to develop, okay, what the customer intended, okay, is what the business analyst is doing, like, right? So he is probing the customer with all sorts of questions. The business analyst would feel that the developer is so dumb, right? And the developer will say, okay, unless you tell me these things very clearly, I'm not going to do any kind of a development. They don't want to leave such kind of an ambiguity that you want to go from one place to another. Say, for example, you want to go to US and they don't want to send you to China and something like that, like, right? So every step of that development, okay, is done, okay, is clearly documented, and that documentation's origin is always the extensive requirements and requirement elaboration that happens. All right. So when you are actually the translator between what the customer wants to build and what the people in your team are going to build, right? So you are that intermediate guy, right? And this role is one of the most critical roles, because one, he needs to communicate with the customer to understand everything. And not just that, okay, whatever he has understood, he needs to document and then give it in a way back to the teams, okay, who are doing the development, right? So that's how the business analyst's role become very, very critical. So if you look at
Maybe this is something which you wanted to share.
okay, yeah. Okay. So the key thing is what happens in an IT situation, like, right? So in IT, business analyst or business requirements is not the only thing. Okay. IT is meant for automating, okay, automation. IT is meant primarily for automation, right? So someday, okay, in the past, okay, if you had to book a ticket, you had to go to the railway station, buy or book or do whatever, and then it used to get done. These days, okay, IT is automated. You just go, you book, okay, book your ticket online and so on. So it's automating the way of doing things, right? So when that kind of a thing is happening, IT itself has a lot of channels in it. And one of those channels as a career channel or a career block, like, right, is business analyst, who acts as the front end to the customer and front end to the people who are developing and doing all that. He's one most critical role who has the entire view of the project, right? Now, is that very critical? Yes. Now, within an IT spectrum, how much of a percentage of business analysts will come into play? Right? That's another question, because since it is all career driven, okay, an IT project, within an IT project, how much of a percentage would you give, okay, to a business analyst? His role is very, very critical, but how many such roles would exist? Like, right? Maybe one, maybe two, or something like that. Okay, because asking the requirements of the requirement percentage is always on the smaller side. Okay, when we look at a overall project implementation, right? So if you take a project implementation, okay, requirements, then design and development, testing and deployment. If you look at it, like, right, the design and development takes away 50% of a project implementation. Okay, about 25% of it goes away for testing, right? And then another 25% is all around the architecture or finalizing the requirements or so and so forth. So even if I knock off that 20, or if I just extract that 25%, the business analyst role would be, or the percentage of business analysts would be somewhere around that 10-12%, okay, for a given project based on the size. You're getting me? Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
as a career, it is super important. But how many? Okay, can everyone in the GIS industry go and become a business analyst? I would say no. Right? You need to focus a lot more on the development side of the things or the testing side of the things, right? Or doing the analysis side of the things, like, right? Analysis, when I say, okay, we talk about AI, ML, and all those modeling stuff and so on and so forth, the data scientists that are coming into GIS and so on. Okay, so across that entire spectrum, if you see, okay, business analyst is a small component of about 10-12%, but that is very, very critical. Okay, and it applies everywhere. Okay, and they are not just capturing the requirements, they are creating workflows, they are saying that, hey, this is how the system should work, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
100% on that, Ravi. I think that's a a good way to explain it.
Okay, so while you get into the next one, let me just try it if I can get my
Yeah.
Zoom to work. Yeah, 1 second.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Ravi, sir. So the question is, as an aspiring GIS developer, what are the main areas or technology stack we should focus upon considering the growing trends of WebGIS in the recent years?
Wow. Repeat the question once again.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, repeat that once. Okay, what are the new technologies that you need to focus on?
Yes. What are the main areas or technology stack we should focus considering the growth of WebGIS in recent years?
Okay, fine. So, okay, before I get there, like, right? So can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is that part that I was talking to you a little while ago, right? So this person out here, okay, holds the most critical part of gathering the requirements and then delegating it to the people who will go and design the system, build it, test it, deploy it, and eventually go on to maintain and so on. Okay, this is that business analyst side of the things. Like, now coming back to your question on what are the WebGIS technologies that you need to focus on and so on, like, right? So for me, like, okay, what do you have in a web application, right? What do you have a web application today? If you okay, if you look at it, okay, it could be anything. Okay, it could be any WebGIS application. Okay, maybe a web application which is like a command control center or whatnot, like, right? So GIS is no longer just GIS in the first place. Yeah, GIS is no longer just GIS in the first place. And the second thing is desktop is not the preferred mode of usage for most of the things. So what's left is the web and the mobile, right? And each of these web and mobile applications primarily have something that you will be able to visualize in the first place. Yes? Okay, you see something. Okay, even if you go to an IRCTC site or you Map My India site or a Google map or whatever, okay, the site is supposed to be one very, very attractive. Yes or no? Do you go to a very, very ugly website? You don't, right? You just don't go. Okay, now the website has to be, okay, it must look good. That's the first thing. Okay, the ease of use has to be excellent, right? The ease of use has to be, okay, very, very simple. That's the reason we like, okay, the Twitters or the Facebooks of the world, right? They came and they revolutionized. Okay, without even having to go through a learning curve, people go and use Facebook. That's how they have made it, like, right? Okay, now this guy, okay, so ease of use is another. Okay, the need to get back to the website and use it, okay, by making it look very, very beautiful, okay, is another. And then the website has to have a purpose, okay, which will attract the user to come back to it again and again and again, right? Three important things, right? Now, for these three things to happen, okay, now can a website work individually on its own? There is no way, okay? If you are building a website, the website is having something what we call as a front end, then there is something called as a back end, which is all around the data and database and whatnot, right? And in between, you have a whole layer of APIs and what we call, right? Okay, so if you have to become a website builder and so on, right? We want to build websites, great GIS websites. Okay, you need to have a good command on how to make your website look beautiful. That's the first and foremost. Now, what does that mean? How can you make something more beautiful? Right? Why is it that the old national award movies of okay, Om Puri or Amrish Puri never look good? Okay, that is how they were designed, like, right? And vis-a-vis, okay, Yash Chopra's movie where he's taking people to Austria, Switzerland, and so on. The colors, right? The blends, okay, all those things come into play. Yes, right? So when those kind of things come in, who are the people who do this? Okay, the artists in us, right? Now, what are the tools that these artists use? They use for something like a Photoshop, right? Now, Photoshop is one of the finest tools, okay, to go and build some nice colors and so on, right? It gives you that blends and, okay, you design the Photoshop, okay, websites initially on something like a Photoshop kind of application, right? Now, what is supposed to be part of that, what is it called, the website? Okay, you mean to say the buttons or the maps or the icons or the images or the static images, the labels, etc., etc. Okay, how the app should be, okay, is what I normally call as the skeleton. Somebody is building the skeleton out there, right? Somebody has designed the wireframe or the skeleton, okay, and that skeleton is supposed to be efficient enough to get you to navigate from one to the other very, very easily. Now, that skeleton development is, okay, you can do it in as simple as a PowerPoint, or you can use, okay, some of these Adobe tools, okay, where you can go and create that experience of the website, right? So you will need skills to, okay, be able to create those wireframes using one of these Adobe tools, right? The Photoshop more from the colors and, okay, the beautification side of the things. But when it comes to, okay, the next level of interaction, right? That is where, okay, you start to, for example, if you okay, from skeleton you have added color and mass, etc., and made a skeleton to a Salman Khan, for example, right? So that is still a Photoshop. Okay, that's where the Photoshop has ended. But now for a Salman Khan, for him to blink his eye, is you are making something to happen on that website, like, right? Which is what is the front end development, okay, which happens completely on the HTML, CSS, JavaScript kind of the things. But there again, okay, if you see the more recent technologies are moving away towards React or Angular, okay, these kind of things are coming in, have come into the market, okay, which create great frameworks, okay, to get the overall front end development to its next level. So you need to be very, very good, okay, if you want to build websites or mobile applications on the front-end technologies, okay, which eventually consist of the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular, or React, okay, or Flutter and those kind of things, like, right? So that's still the front-end part. Now, if you want to go one step ahead, okay, you need to have the database also. Okay, you have databases, okay, which will hold the data. Right now, that data to model, okay, you have these whole database technologies like PostgreSQL with PostGIS or Oracle Spatial or Azure SQL Spatial or so on and so forth, like, right? So that's the data modeling, data, okay, SQL development, and that's the kind of technologies that come into play. And in between, okay, the interaction, getting the interaction between the what is there within the database to the front end, okay, is where you need that messaging system or interaction system, which we call as APIs, right? So you click something and say, okay, go fetch me some information and make me to do something. Okay, so it could be like, okay, you click a button and say, okay, show Salman Khan as angry. right? So it will go back, okay, it will trigger something in his stomach that it makes some upset and he shows it back on his face. Okay, now this intermediate code, as we call the APIs, right? These things, okay, there are a lot of technologies. .NET is there, Java is there, Python is there. But of late, okay, Python has become the de facto or the most popular language. Okay, every time, every now and then there is a popularity index. Okay, today Python is that one. Okay, you learn Python. Okay, you do the advanced programming as well as you build APIs and so on, right? So that's how it is. So when you are looking at a career in GIS, okay, web applications, okay, you need to get strong, okay, with the front end first. That's the first and foremost. Like, forget about the data and all that. Like, right? Get your hands dirty, build your own web apps first, right? And then get to the APIs and then eventually to the database or vice versa. Okay. Now, when it comes to the GIS side of web applications, okay, we all know that ISRI is there. Okay, ISRI has built its own experience builder and portal for ArcGIS and so on and so forth. Okay, what ISRI is doing is it has given that entire package. Okay, try going in for a low code, no code platform so that people with less development experience can also still go ahead and build websites. Right? So if you have access to Esri, okay, then you can build some beautiful websites, okay, by custom configurations and so on. But if you really want to specialize and okay and make a mark for yourself in IT, right, you need to be strong on the front-end technologies to start with, right? And then be able to build the APIs using a Python or a .NET. It's either or. Yeah. And then eventually, okay, you also need to have a command on one of these databases. Yeah, long, long answer, but okay. So,
I think, Ravi, it was a 10-mark answer.
sorry.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next question. It is for Rajat, sir. Sir, the question will be that what are the challenges and opportunities of using geospatial technology for sustainable development goals, especially the SDG 14? And is there any open way for us to get this type of opportunity in the industrial sector?
Okay, now when I first looked at the question, I was like, that's an amazing one, and I actually had to give it a thought around it. Like, how do you answer something on SDG 14, which basically speaks about life below water, right? Now, in a geospatial domain, I believe uh, the basic problem with all this kind of thing is in terms of capacity building and in terms of understanding the expertise of using geospatial data to do analysis on marine data, or basically understanding how the marine life functions, and also the availability of data in that fact. Okay, so I personally don't have much experience utilizing, you could say, or like working on the marine data side of the thing. But while I was doing some research around it and trying to understand if we can do it, what I figured out is there is something called as UNOSAT. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, are using it, or have heard about it. So UNOSAT can actually help you in understanding a lot about marine, and also help you in understanding like how the migration of fish movement takes place under the sea. And but more essential than that, one thing which I understood, or which I want to reiterate upon us, was is these SDGs are actually interrelated to each other. So whether it is about removing the poverty, removing or reducing the pollution of water levels, and then improving the marine life. So ideally, if we only focus on a couple of these SDGs in terms of how geospatial technology, maybe it can be act as a byproduct of improving the marine life. And in terms of industrial, what you call, like the conditions where you can work in, I think there's a lot of happening in terms of like people, or the companies sending on their own satellites, building up their own constellation networks. Like there's a company called ISI, which is building up its own constellation of to help forest and marine. Then there is Planet Labs, which you guys would have heard about it. It also is building up its own constellation around it. So companies like this will play a crucial role in building up the capacity and also in improving, you could say, the availability of data. Because I think with right now, what I understand is the availability of data is also a big challenge, and also the if you talk to one of the researchers who basically works in marine data and everything, they might have been using marine data, but maybe not from a geospatial perspective or not from the spatial perspective, but it would be just a one part of it. Now, how essentially you make location technology, or you could say spatial data, as one of the core components of understanding the marine life and then working around it, will take, I think, in the coming years, definitely it will play a big role. But essentially, in the previous years, there's not been much visibility in terms of what data we have and how can we do it, because more of the efforts have been on the local level, like on a local scale people have contributed to it, but on a global scale, I think UN, put up this website called UNOSAT, which is basically focusing on marine. I only see this as one of the major websites where you can actually work on it, and maybe you start putting it out, and then reach out to couple of industry partners like ISI and Planet Labs, and maybe you might have something on around these lines to work on. But yeah, it's a difficult thing, and it's very specific. Like, I think it's very specific how Ravi was explaining about what a business analyst does in the entire project. Though there is a role played by developers, there's role played by testing engineers, then there's role played by architects or whatever. In a similar fashion, for a marine life, geospatial will only play a smaller role, but you will have local players, you will have different sections of the or you could say expertise people who would be involved in a project around it. So it's a very similar fashion, and it's very skilled outlook in that way. So not sure if that helped you, but if you have questions around it, put it in the chat. I can try to answer it.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to our next question. It is for our Ravi, sir. So, what do you suggest about the emerging trends and applications of the geospatial artificial intelligence, or the Geo AI, in the domain of geoinformatics? And how can a student like us who are pursuing masters in geoinformatics can proceed our study and learning in terms of the Geo AI or relatable trends?
So where does artificial intelligence come into play first? Okay, okay, because okay, let me go back. Okay, so I'm sorry, but I think it's easier to show something and then talk. Okay, so that you know where exactly it's fitting in, like, right? Just a moment. Again, okay, if I just go back, like, right? Somebody who is aspiring to get into artificial intelligence, okay, AI, ML, okay, big data, and all those things. What are they? Where do they fit in this entire IT cycle? Look at it first of all, right? So, for example, okay, there is something called as spatial, okay, data scientist, business intelligence stream, or spatial BI and something, right? It is grabbing intelligence from what you have as data. A data could be as simple as a table, or it could be as simple as an image or whatever, right? Now that data, okay, you are trying to generate intelligence out of that data, okay? And that part, if you see, is coming into the analytics stream. Are you with me? Right? So everywhere else, okay, if you look at it from an overall IT standpoint, okay, so this again, just like the business analyst stream, right? This is a core set of people, okay, who will spend time, okay, trying to analyze data, okay, build models, and help automatic, what should I say, interpretation of data, right? Automatic interpretation of data, and from that derive some decisions, right? And deriving that decisions, okay, automatic interpretation is nothing but, okay, if I have to put it, it could be as simple as object detection, right? So where does AI ML come into play? And Okay, how and what is in it for you, right? Or how can you go and make a career out there, right? So first and foremost, if you have to make a career out there, okay, go ahead. Okay, I will say for all those people who love maths, okay, all those people, okay, who loves problem solving, all those people who tend to want to become developers, right? Okay, very good at coding. Okay, let those people first of all try and go for those kind of things. Okay, as a career. Okay, the reason being, okay, the minute you are into AI, ML and those kind of things, okay, there are a whole lot of models out there, okay, which will help you identify, for example, Rajat has already worked on the building footprint extraction. That's what I heard, Rajat. Okay, and quite a few other things like, right? These days, okay, I'm sure you would have, okay, if you are on LinkedIn or something, okay, as part of this next generation what should I say, GIS or okay, visualization techniques. Okay, as a car is moving, you get to see people being identified at a very rapid pace, even while you're driving, like, right? So that's how the automated cars, okay, automated cars are driverless cars and so on are doing it, like, right? They are able to easily identify, okay, and then take actions on top of it. Okay, that's happening because there are people who have gone ahead and built models, okay, out there. Now, for if you want to spend your career, okay, going into that side of it, okay, so I would say people who are okay, who have that inclination for mathematics and coding, okay, so they and logic, right? It's not that everybody is an expert on day one, okay, but once you are passionate, okay, eventually you'll become an expert, right? So that is one unique, what should I say, stream, okay, where the business intelligence or okay, is coming out. Okay, because I spoke a little while ago, right? Where if it is IT has okay somebody who is doing the business data, sorry, the data requirement collection, or somebody who is implementing things, programming and so on. Okay, and somebody is also solving the core problem, right? Monte Carlo simulation was done by somebody ages and ages ago, right? Now somebody, okay, now, okay, as a data scientist or somebody as a programmer today, okay, will write that into coding, okay, out here. So that's where the modeling part is coming in, right? So somebody has modeled, that model has been coded and brought into the system, and that's where, okay, this stream is coming into play. Are you with me, or am I confusing you guys like hell?
No, sir, it's already clear and
Okay.
understandable.
Yeah. So the key is, okay, for you people who want to go and make a mark in AI ML, right? Okay, first of all, identify your strength. Okay, if you think that that is something that you love, you need not be strong today, but if you are passionate about it, okay, it's going to happen. Right? Today you might not like maths, but then you are hell bent on learning it. Right? You are hell bent on okay trying to be good on modeling. Right? Then this will eventually come in. It's your passion that will take you there. But is it so very straightforward, easy, and very enriching? I will not say though. Right? So, for example, okay, you are doing your M.Sc Geoinformatics. Is it 2 years or 3 years? Like how many years is the course?
So it is 2 years.
2 years course. So immediately after 2 years course, okay, some could go away for further masters or so on, but a lot of you would want to get into a job first, right? Now, will you get into that, okay, with an AIML kind of a thing? I doubt, okay, because people would be there in tons and tons and tons, okay, because it's a bubble today. A lot of people want to go and spend their time out there, like, right? So would you get your chance that easily? I doubt. Okay, because no matter what happens, okay, a person with 1 year experience or no experience vis-a-vis a person with 10 years experience, right? People would want to go for the 10 years experience guy first, like, right? So is it challenging? It is definitely challenging. But is there promise? There is a lot of promise. Okay, so you will still have a lot of regard for people who have worked on Unix rather than people who are using Windows, like, right? There is a reason, right? There is always a lot of appreciation for a mathematician than somebody else. Okay, so you become that unique breed, okay, if you want to get into that AIML space and so on, but the whole world is trying to go there. But irrespective of what's happening, okay, If you are looking for your career, getting into the career and making a good name for yourself, right? Understand what part of IT, because I'm coming from IT, like, right, I'm talking about it. I'll say okay, have a feel of what IT has to offer vis-a-vis your strength, right? If your strength is your ability to communicate very, very well, okay, assertive communication, clear, okay, and good communication, right? And if you are not too keen on programming, etc., go focus on business analysis. That's a fantastic thing, okay? Today, you have a whole lot of people who come from pristine institutes but can't even talk properly. Okay, what will they do if they are put into business analysis? They don't. But if you are strong on your communication with assertive communication and so on, okay, that can become that. But at the same time, there could be some people who are into mathematics or problem solving kind of a thing. Go attempt, try and become great developers and eventually progress onto AI/ML side of it. Okay, so I hope I answered. But okay, happy to take questions on that.
Thank you, sir. My next question would be for Rajat, sir. So, what role do geospatial techniques play in enhancing the accessibility and inclusivity of urban green spaces in developing urban growth?
Thank you. I think I first say thank you for that question. But I think if you have to ask me, geospatial is a backbone for defining urban green spaces or urban uh, sprawls. If you look from that perspective, but I'll also openly say that do city governments or do governments use it? No, we don't use it. Our cities have sprawled in XYZ direction. We are not using it, but if you ask me, if the question is about is it essential component, it's an essential component. Now how it will help is basically like maybe I'll take an example of more European cities, or in India, maybe it's more about cities like Lavasa, which was built up in a fashion that you have a walkability in terms of defining, like you can go from point A to point B and take up, might have shops in a nearby. Or for example, Chandigarh, if it's a very, very planned city, like each pocket has their own shopping centers in that way. And basically you might also have a bigger shopping areas for 2 3 sectors combined. So this, and also there's a thought around like if there is a park or not, or where people have accessibility to it or not. So these are the few components which definitely play a bigger role. And if you start planning a city based on urban green spaces and using geospatial technology, like checking how the urban sprawl has happened. It also will help you. I think one of you mentioned in my introduction, I worked on heat islands. So it also helps you in mitigating those heat islands in the cities. Like you could have micro pockets in the cities where the temperatures could be much higher compared to the city areas where you have more greenery. So urban growth spaces play a bigger role, but we are not using it on a if you ask me on a application level, we are not using it. But there are in my experience, like I've read a lot of papers around it, and I have seen the works of team working in WRI. I'll say, like, I've no harm in quoting them. I think WRI specifically focuses on using urban spaces or defining it. Or there could be this one also in Bangalore, which I know is Takshila School. I'm not sure if you guys know about it. It also focuses on improving the accessibility of urban green spaces to common people. So basically, if you have to ask me what's urban green space, like for example, as simple as parks. So like uh, if you go to Noida also, there's been a bit of development in terms of newer Greater Noida. Like you have a developed areas, you have parks around it. But it's not like city governments or the people who are essentially involved in planning the cities are using it. It's more or so like in again in small or local scales, people have been developing it. But yeah, geospatial plays a bigger role in it. But I think it's all about that awareness of using geospatial technology, and also challenges around the capacity, like people not being able to utilize mapping softwares to visualize couple of layers, like how you guys would call it, like, okay, I'll overlay a land parcel, then I'll overlay a park wala layer, then I'll overlay some other things on it. So this understanding is not available, and it becomes a very niche area that you are using a geospatial technology in that way. So yeah, it plays it, but not sure if that also answered your question. But yeah, it's a
I can
tough.
add on that,
Yeah, yeah,
Rajat. Uh, the thing is, okay, in India, the awareness is on the lesser side. Okay,
yeah,
it is picking up though, okay,
yeah,
through the
yeah,
concept of smart cities and all,
yeah.
right? But if you are looking at urban planning and use of GIS, like, right, one of the best examples in the world is one of the richest countries, okay, but one of the smallest also, Singapore, right? How
Definitely, yeah.
many of you would have imagined that there could be a tree inventory? Okay, an inventory of trees. So every tree that is there within Singapore, okay, has a unique ID. Like हम सबके पास आधार कार्ड है, वैसे वहां पे हर पेड़ पौधा, ओके, बेंच, ओके, या गार्डन के अंदर जो जो चीजें हैं, okay, they have mapped it to an extent where they maintain, okay, the greenery, okay, to the complete whatever. And if you disturb anything, okay, it's a crime, right? So people normally say uh, garden in a city, right? But
Yeah,
Singapore, they take pride in calling themselves that city in a garden. Okay, they tweak it around, and the smart city there is essentially smart. Okay, smart city within a garden, or a city within a smart garden, like, right, where every asset is mapped. Okay, they know which tree is where. Okay, and they are so very focused, okay, that they even go and calculate how much the tree has grown, okay, over a period of time. Okay, and the frequencies are not like after 5 years or 10 years, right?
mm,
The inventory is made because pagal log hai. That's what I'll say. Okay, but that is what it is, like, right? They have so much of money and they care a lot for their greenery, right? And
yeah,
because of that, okay, they are using GIS left and right. Or some of, uh, okay, they are actually building a digital twin,
yeah,
okay, for the entire Singapore. So if you want to focus on that, okay, take Singapore as a case study, do your research on that, and you will see some wonderful things, okay, that come up. They are very frequently part of the ISRI celebrations, like, right? Okay, where okay, our big old Jack, okay, keeps giving them, okay, all trophies and so on. Okay, but some of the finest work, okay, in urban planning and greenery is happening at Singapore, in Singapore.
yeah. Thanks, Ravi, for adding on to that. I think it's a very good example. So I would just say, like, in India, if you look for examples, like, you want to look in Indian context, you will find it on a very small scales.
Yeah.
But if you want to look on a larger scale, how countries can work, or how like, because I think Singapore as a country is a small compared to one of our, it could be compared to one of our cities. And if you want to look on a like from a larger perspective, ki how I can use in an urban space, how geospatial technology can be used. I think that's a good example, which Ravi said. Look for Singapore, and there could be some European cities also to look for in that way. But yeah, Singapore is one, because
Nobody
the
beats Singapore.
Singapore, because Singapore, the problem with Singapore, if you have to ask, is like their land mass is so less,
Right.
and they have to plan it, and population is so high that they have to plan it in that way. They have to use geospatial technology to use it. Because again, the European context would not work in this way, because European population is not there. They don't have population in that matter, and their land mass is still good enough. Plus, the bigger thing which with the European countries or cities, you might look in a, like how Ravi was quoting Yashraj and everyone. It looks good because I think it's on the higher, on the climatic zones. It's in a much better zone area, and that also plays a crucial role in defining a green space. But if you look at, just to add on to that, if you look at Singapore airport, that's a way to define how you can have a urban green space within an entire urbanized airport area. So that's what the example is.
We all feel पेड़ों को count कर रहा है, मतलब वो पागल ही होगा, right? So that's what would our can you believe they have banks, okay, and those banks are tree banks and not अपने यहाँ मतलब you have those small shopkeepers who sell all those plants, right? There they sell trees, okay, and they have multi-floor malls selling trees, right? Or preserving trees. Okay, they have tree banks. Just like how we use banks for our money, okay, they use banks for trees, like, right? They have those tree banks, and then a lot of conservation things happen, and they just don't love to kill trees at all. Okay, it's a crime. Okay, so that's what, like.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. My next question is for Ravi, sir. How does AI and ML algorithms can improve the interpretation of complex geospatial data sets and be useful in data visualization?
I
Again,
think
this,
it's a very similar question, which I think Ravi answered in a way how AI and ML can help it. It is focusing on data visualization, do you want to say? Like, uh, can you repeat the question again?
Sure, sir. How does AI and ML algorithms can improve the interpretation of complex geospatial data sets and be useful in data visualization?
okay.
I
Rajat, you
think
go first.
no, please go. I still have to think about it.
Okay, here is the thing. What do you classify as complex data set? Okay, if you take your, I'm sure you would have known about shape files or geo packages or ArcGIS, MXD files or those kind of geo database and all, right? So when you are creating a vector data set, the data set is very, very organized. Yes or no? Okay, every table, a feature class has a certain set of attributes, and you are only storing that data, and that's the end of it, beginning and end of it. Yes? Okay, you must be having some relationship across multiple layers of data and so on. Okay, then is that complex? I will say that is not. Okay, what is more complicated? Take an image, right? Take an image. Now, okay, for example, if I take my face as an image, okay, the image of my face or Salman Khan's face, okay, not that I'm a fan of his, but then he just comes up once in a while, okay. So the a photograph at the end of the day is just a photograph. Okay, we are trying to interpret that photograph, saying that hey, this photograph indicates Salman Khan, or this photograph indicates Shah Rukh Khan, based on certain features, certain attributes, like, right? Okay, uska eyes ka proportion itna hai, uska वैसे features and contours and so on and so forth. Okay, now that is what we are called. Can we call that as a more complicated thing? Data set, okay, because it's all pixels, high resolution. अब पता नहीं इतना पिक्सल, इतने बड़े पिक्सल सेट में उसका क्या वैल्यू है वगैरह, right? What is the influence of one small pixel on the larger, within the larger, हमको नहीं पता. So उसको interpret करने के लिए, okay, what we do in GIS, okay, is our good old, you would have done that land use land, what is that, land use land cover classification वगैरह सब कर दिए होंगे आप लोगों ने, right? Now is that imagery different from, okay, a Salman Khan face in typical terms, okay? For a computer, okay, does a Salman Khan's face picture differ from that of a land use land cover? No. End of the day, it is still a picture only, right? Okay, so land use land cover को हम लोग GIS के through, okay, we are easily identifying by training the model, saying that okay, ऐसे ऐसे pixel signature अगर होगा तो बोल दो कि बाबा this is greenery, or this is a building, or this is something, this is a road वगैरह वगैरह kind of, right? That's what. Okay, and the same thing, okay, I can put a Salman Khan face and say that okay, extract things that are there within Salman Khan's face. So आ जाएगा कि बाबा this is the eye, this is the nose, this is the whatever, right? So when we say complex data sets, okay, the complex data sets normally refer to imagery. Okay, and when we look at imagery, what are we trying to do with imagery? Okay, we are only trying to identify what is what within an imagery, just what you did in your land use land cover classification, right? So अब ये जो AI ML वगैरह जो है, ये आजकल का terminology है, not that I'm okay against or in favor or whatever. Okay, land use land cover mapping, okay, identification, okay, of all this satellite imagery data and so on has been happening for ages now. ओके मैंने जब 2000 या कभी तो जब देखा था, तो तब तक ऑलरेडी आर्किन्फो had the models, Erdas Imagine had those models. We never called it as AIML, right? We
I
only, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt or jump in between. I think it's a gamification how you guys use Instagram Reels, right? And you guys go through it and say, oh wow, and वो होता क्या है कि एक छोटे से space में they create reels और वहीं पे they dance around it and then they say, wow, what a reel they have created. So it's a gamification of entire thing. But just to add on to that also, like if you're looking for how do you see AI and ML, I think if you just take few minutes back, I think Ravi mentioned about that we have moved away from desktop to web side of the things, and he explained a very detailed understanding of how WebGS works. I think in a very similar way for your complex data structures, which is an image, and you have to interpret it, whether this is a building, this is a parking lot, or whatever. I think you guys would have also moved away from ADAS Imagine to Google Earth Engine. That's a very simple example of using AI and ML. So I think Ravi, you just triggered my brainwaves to understand because I was trying to break it down. Okay, how that has changed in that matter. So
Right.
when I started reading or started using remote sensing in 2012, I think a lot of your same professors like TP sir or Navendu sir taught me how to use ADAS Imagine. Okay, and I had worked in that. But in the coming years, I think by 2018, that was the first time when I started using Google Earth Engine. And Google Earth Engine in 2018 was just a, you could say, a breakthrough thing. Like you like in my time we used to download the satellite data
Yeah.
using Landsat. का एक website होता था. We used to download the satellite data and then work on it.
Yeah.
That itself was a bigger challenge for us to then to do it कि complex data पे हम कुछ analysis करें. The bigger challenge was to get the data.
Yeah.
So if you ask me how do you see AI and ML breaking this complex data, I think first was the data availability for you guys, which Google Earth Engine solved it by providing you the humongous amount of data on it. Second thing is what Google Earth Engine did was like they built up a lot of algorithms for which you might have to write the codes in your raster calculators, which I think Arc Info would also have it, or I think Ravi would have also used in terms of building a raster calculator based algorithm.
Yeah.
So you now with Google Earth Engine you have it. So that's the trend which is going in, and I potentially see that it will keep on expanding, and more people who are studying or who are in research, and even for enterprise, you will see Google Earth Engine taking the bigger picture of analyzing the data and then building up data set. Because now what has happened is like I have used Google Earth Engine last year. This was for my personal project. Now what I did was like I created a model which does LULC, land use land cover. I used the same signature file to do LULC on the some other data set of Pune. I created a LULC file for Pune. I used the same LULC ka signature file. I hope you understand what is signature. Signature nahi pata hai, to break it down, like for example, samples. So I have collected few samples of barren land, samples of urban areas, few samples of water bodies and everything. Use the same sample on Dehradun to extract the Dehradun ka land use land cover.
Yeah.
Of course, don't do that because your teachers will find out. I had a different proposition, I used it. Okay. But this is what your computer science or your AI or ML can do. It is like it can train your model to use the same signature file to do it.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's a way like AI and ML. Even you look before complex data structure, I think you have to break it down. That first of all, the data accessibility is something what AI and ML are trying to solve it, which is by building platforms like Google Earth Engine, or for example, platforms which Planet Labs or any other thing will build up. Second is after that, availability. They will solve is your thing of using algorithms and improving them. So I would like to answer it in that way, but yeah, Ravi, in case you feel
No, so
again I deviated
essentially,
somewhere.
yeah. So essentially, okay, the AIML is a means of detecting what is there, okay,
Yeah,
if you give it an object, okay, the data, right? What data are you giving in? Okay, if you are giving an image, it is trying to detect, okay, what's there within that image, right? Which is where the supervised, unsupervised classification and all those things come in. Someone says that, okay, if you see something like this, it's a nose, it's a, okay, an eye, or those kind of a things, like, right? So somebody is, okay, is giving those signatures out there, and then the system is, okay, is made intelligent to go and find that pixel pattern, okay, come back and say that, okay, if it is something like this, then this is a human being. If this is something like this, it's a car. Okay, so object detection and so on. So that is essentially what AIML, this entire thing about AIML is happening, like, right? They're trying to detect things, okay, without really trying to figure out, okay, how to. Okay, so you just today you must be doing what is it called? आपके Google Photos वगैरह में you are searching by your photograph itself, right? All people of the same face, okay, they're tagging, and you are getting the face search, right? How is that possible, right? So it's the same thing. Or you are applying in GIS to detect land use, land cover, and other kind of things, like same or कुछ नहीं. Okay, so
Thank you, sir. As we are approaching the end of our preset questions, there's a question to both of you, sir. What would we students who are entering the corporate world should look for from future GIS talents like you both?
Can you please repeat again?
Sure, sir. So the question was, what we students who are entering the corporate world in the near future should
Yeah.
look for from the future GIS talents like you both?
Ravi, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
yeah, can I spin it in a little different, the same question, like, right? What would make you successful in
Yeah.
GIS in an IT company? Would that be a
Sure.
more, does it work? Is it something like that you have asked?
Yes, sir.
How can you succeed in a GIS career in an IT company, if I have to tie it down to that level?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Because as we said, like IT people are dumb people, so we try to break down into more small and easier things. Isn't it, Ravi? That's
Yeah,
how we do,
absolutely,
right?
like, right? So that's what. So first and foremost, like, right, if you are looking to get into an IT company, okay, now look at what are the type of companies that you have, okay, in the market, right? Some who are very, very data focused, right? So something like a like the Googles and Apples and Here Technologies and those kind of companies are there, who are doing large scale mapping and delivering that, okay, all those navigation services and search services kind of thing. That is one set of companies. The second set of companies are more like the TomToms and others, who are building their own logistic specific platforms and so on and so forth. The third ones are more towards products and so on, right? So building products and platforms. For example, the companies like Isri or MapInfo or okay, Hexagon or those kind of companies, okay, who are building products, okay, products which you and I will use, okay, to do some work of our own, right? And then comes the next set of companies, which are companies like Cognizant, for example, Cognizant, Infosys, Genesis, and so on and so forth, who are more of service providers, right? Who are more service providers. And finally, you have the data specific companies like the RMSIs of the world, the Ramtechs of the world, or the science of the world and so on, where they spend a lot of, okay, the focus is more on the data and data services. Now, for you to go and make a career in any of this, okay, you should first of all identify what is your strength. What is it that you like? Forget about strength. What is it that you like? Okay. If you like, say, for example, we spoke a little while ago, okay, you are very good at your communication and so on, okay, and you like to be that intermediate guy, okay, who understands, interprets, okay, documents, and then delegates, that kind of a thing, okay, that's where, okay, you can try and build a career as a GIS business analyst. Okay, now these business analysts will eventually move into what we call as business consultants or GIS consultant. Okay, so it's a progression, right? You start as a business analyst or a junior business analyst, okay, try and do all this requirement gathering, etc. Then you suddenly become an advisor, right? And then you eventually get into sales, right? So either a consultant and then sales kind of a thing, which becomes one career pattern if you look at it, like, right? So if your strength is about your communication, your outspokenness, okay, you are that bubbly character within your group, or among whom the rest of the people are flocking, etc. Okay, go play to your strength. Try something in that GIS, okay, career, okay, as a business consultant or GIS consultant or that kind of a thing. If you have an aptitude for, okay, if you are a painter, okay, simple, again, go back to our good old Salman Khan story, like, right, wireframes and all. Okay, if you have that painting kind of a mindset, okay, you love paints, okay, the details, the paints, etc., you can become that front-end developer, right? You can make more beautiful looking maps, or you can make applications, okay, which will look beautiful both in terms of color, beautiful in terms of user experience, and so on and so forth, which is what we call as the user design side of the things. Yeah. Now, some people, okay, they have that engineering minds, as we call, like, right? So wo log, okay, unko kuch nahi, kuch bhi de do, they will try to break it into code. And okay, if else for, if else for, while यही करना उनको पसंद आता है उनको, ओके, उनको डाल देना जो अपना जियो प्रोसेसिंग स्क्रिप्ट्स वगैरह जो लिखते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल, राइट, द एपीआईज एज वी कॉल, right? Apna ArcGIS mein, if you go, you have all those geo-processing scripts and all that you do, right? The Python, ArcPy, vagera use karke, etc. Like, right? So those people, okay, rather go and focus on that side of the things, right? Writing down the scripts. Now, the scripts can be for whatever, okay? It could be for a functionality, or it could be for automation of some mundane tasks, whatever. But it is automation. You are writing down code and so on. Okay, now some people will have, they have inherently कि कोई भी कुछ भी बोले उसमें नुस्खे निकालना उनको ज्यादा पसंद आता है, नुस्खे या जो गलत है या वगैरह, kind of, right? Push those people into testing, डाल दो, it is their strength. Take those people, okay, whoever, okay, so your attention to detail, it's not, I'm not pulling their leg out here if somebody is out there, okay, it is their attention to detail, okay, which is like huge. Okay, when your attention to detail and to point out that, hey, यहाँ पे bug है, या यहाँ पे ये चीज है, ये miss हो गया, kind of, like, right? Somebody comes, okay, very well dressed, okay, and suddenly forgets that, okay, they did not comb their hair. Everything else is perfect and they didn't comb their hair. So, and this person, instead of looking at all the nice things, is saying, hey, you didn't comb your hair, kind of, right? Those kind of mindset, that pessimistic, yeah, it's not negative. ओके, बट वो जो माइक्रोस्कोपिक लेवल पे जाके देखने वाली जो चीज है ना, राइट, वो माइंडसेट, ओके, यू आर प्लेइंग टू योर माइंडसेट विच इज योर स्ट्रेंथ. Got me? So this one, okay, so those people go settle down into testing, right? And this one, and some people will say, I don't want to do, okay, I just want my GIS more in terms of, okay, pocket money chahiye, ya mujhe matlab not as a career but then more like okay, they don't have a lot of ambitions and all. Okay, मुझे एक job चाहिए, okay, with that lot of passion or this, that, वगैरह, but just the day-to-day activities kind of a thing. Go put them into data digitization, right? उसमें मतलब there is okay, nothing negative. Okay, data digitization is one of the most critical things in the world. Okay, जिसके लिए why are we investing so much on AI/ML, right? So that it can go and interpret what is coming through these images and convert that into data so that we can use it. Okay, all those through those semantics and all those whatever modeling and all those things that are happening, like, right? They're trying to generate data. Okay, but the most authentic data is something that we as people create, right? So जो लोगों को ये प्रोग्रामिंग नहीं करना, जो बिजनेस एनालिसिस में नहीं करना, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह, right? Go, okay, if they have that patience, okay, to do the same mundane task day in, day out, vagera, kind of, okay, go spend time in data. It's nothing derogatory. Okay, it is one way of career. Does that answer?
I think so. It answers.
Okay, so
Yes.
most important is keep play to your strength, right? Playing to your strength is the most significant. Never focus on your weakness. People will come and say, okay, improve on your weakness. Weakness ko Okay, strength, nahi, not required. Okay, you will be taken into a job for your strength.
Yeah, because I think I'll just add on to this for my personal example. Like when I started, I think you guys quoted like I was a developer at IHS or something. I think back then, one of my managers actually helped me in understanding that my core strength is not in the development side of the things, even though I come with a computer science background of it. And if you go in a traditional way, I would have gone in a traditional programming side of the things. But it also helps if you have a clarity on it. If you don't have a clarity of it, I think it's better to ask your managers if you think he'll be able to help you. And if you sometimes feel your manager is not helping me, no harm in finding a mentor for yourself in one of your seniors or in one of your buddies who can help you in understanding that what is your strength. Like you do a lot of projects in your 2 years in SIG, right? And each of your projects, some of you would also collaborate with each other. Some of you are good with documentation of the entire thing and maybe
Exactly. See?
presentation.
Yep.
Some of you are good with okay, I'll capture the data for you, I'll do the analysis. Yeah, but मेरे को ना website नहीं बनाना है, मेरे को WebGIS नहीं करना है, right? And that's where your strengths are. And I think Ravi has been saying very clearly that you should focus on your strengths. People will come and say, but I think if that would have not happened back then for me also, like my manager would have told me, analysis is something you do always good. And if you also work in a company and you start finding, no, this is becoming very tedious for me and I'm not finding, ask for opportunities. If you do not ask, nobody is coming and giving it to you. You you have to go and ask, ki, I would like to grow in this direction. See, there's no guarantee that everyone will come and say, okay, you can go in that direction. That does not work. That's not how IT works, or that's not how any company work. Because company also have their what you call, they have their own agenda. They also have to look at how the project is going, and you play a crucial role in that. But ideally, yeah, focus on your strength and then understand from a college perspective itself, like what I have enjoyed more, whether I have enjoyed doing the analysis, whether I have enjoyed data side of the things, or I had enjoyed all this new technology which is coming up, which is AI ML, because I heard a lot of you has asked questions, and it's fine enough because I think with all the buzz around AI/ML, and if you go on LinkedIn, it is AI/ML, AI/ML. So it's absolutely fine to get intimidated by that also. Like, am I losing the race? No, you're not losing any race because this is your race. You have to find your path, and it takes time. It takes time for you to find that path. Even for me also, it took time, and I'm still finding that path. If you ask me, I have not reached that stage. No, I am good. No, no. So if you look at even my career graph, I was in companies. I was with company like IHS. I was there. I was with Tesco at some point. Then I left everything, came for my teaching assistantship. I thought ki haan, I like teaching. I did teaching, and then I thought, nahi yaar, it's not fulfilling my other aspirational because you will also have some financial things. Then I went back into industry. So all of this also plays a bigger role in defining what are your strengths, what are, because you will have challenges in your life, but don't let them bog you down in a way ki, yaar, I am not good at it. What should I do?
That's
Nobody is good at
everybody
everything.
has a strength. Everybody has a strength, right?
Yes, that is
And
the only thing.
yeah,
And
and
I never thought that we'll end up in a motivational way.
no, and it's not about motivation, right?
Yeah.
So because the question is more about how can you succeed in
Yeah.
getting into IT and succeeding there, like, right? What happens is before you finish off your academics, okay,
Yeah.
your geoinformatics, M.Sc, or whatever you're doing, right? If you're trying to join an IT company, okay, and trying to build, trying for a development career or so, I would say get your hands dirty now, right? Go build your own web applications. Be able to show something, okay? Show your strength, okay? By the time you get into IT, right? So when you go for your interviews from a company like Infi, Cognizant, or whichever that comes to you, right? You should be able to show your enthusiasm. Hey, see, I've done this kind of like. That is your strength. That is what it is. And once you get into a company, if you want to succeed, okay, now it's a different cup of tea.
Yeah.
Okay, you find a mentor who will take care of you. Okay, most important, like, right? find a mentor who will take care of you, make him dependent on you, and at the same time, you should aim to become a mentor to somebody else, right? So you should be in a situation to mentor somebody below you while you are looking up to somebody
Yeah,
above.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
This
this
is what works.
thing, ओके सो नीचे वाला आपका रोल लेता जाएगा, आप ऊपर वाले का रोल लेते जाओगे, वो
Yeah, this is how
करता
your
है.
succession plan should be ideally. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've been trying to do that, and it's not like you will only have mentors in a form of your teachers or your managers or your. It can be your peers also in the companies,
Exactly.
and you can discuss with them. So that's how it works, I think.
Yeah, and never ask your parents what you are good at. Okay, for them, okay, you are good at everything. Okay, ask your friends, ask your close friends who are living with you, right?
Yeah.
Who know you more than your parents. So, okay.
Well, thank you, sir. That was it for the free set of questions. And now the next sequence is about the open forum. We will be having a few more questions in the chat box, but Rajat sir has already been answering the questions in the chat box itself. So I request Ravi sir to just open your chat box and see if you want to add any point to Rajat
Gosh,
sir's answer.
I've not seen anything. Okay.
Yes, sir. So we have two or three more questions left. So if you could just answer them, and we'll wrap the session up after that. Thank you, sir.
You have already answered, Rajat, yeah?
Yeah, I've answered a couple of them, but I think you can add in more from your experience also. Like I think there were questions around AR and VR. How do you see geospatial playing a bigger role in creating the immersive experience? So I've answered it in a form of metaverse, and that's where I saw you could have more VR or AR based experiences coming in, and
So,
but yeah, feel free to add in that.
no. So I'll not type anything.
Yeah, of course. But I can maybe give you some summary, and maybe you can add your thoughts on it. You could speak your thoughts around it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
let's do this.
VR, if I have to take it like that, we have been trying to see it's something fancy as of now. Okay, it is still fancy. Okay, it's not that the industry is not trying, but it is still a fancy kind of a thing. Okay, still. Okay, at the moment. Okay, the minute it is you have to wear those different kinds of glasses to visualize something. Okay, who would be interested? Okay, it's deforming your shape and face and whatnot. Like, right? Just one second. बुलेट में पेट्रोल भरना पड़ेगा क्या? Okay, so uh, telecom companies like Verizon, okay, or Deutsche Telekom, etc. Okay, so they did try to go the AR VR way of using AR VRs. Okay, and where it has and the best use case that they have been trying to, or they have ended up there. मतलब etc. is the end of all thinking process is what they say, right? etc. something. Okay, मतलब उसके बाद उनका सोच बंद हो गया, right? So Verizon के जैसे कंपनी, मतलब I'm just taking some names random, right? AR VR के बाद आते ही, okay, लोगों का यह इंडस्ट्री का सोच वहां पे खत्म हो गया जहां पे they can only see something and be able to read something, right? मतलब it is more like acting as a reading tool or a learning tool. For example, imagine an electrician, okay, apna M.Sc, for example, in Pune, right? Some transformer or something is there below the, okay, below the earth, like, right? Underground कुछ तो cable है, कट गया है वगैरह. He wants to see it or so, right? या वो equipment क्या है, वहां पे मीटर किस चीज का है, या सबस्टेशन किस चीज का है, whatever, all those kind of things, like, right? उसको देखने के लिए without the need to dig it, okay, if he wants to see and if he wants to figure out what is there in it, that is when the AR VR kind of a visualization is coming into play. Now, is it really exceptional? Okay, it has not succeeded to a level where we can say that, okay, it's a success. It's a fancy, it is still a fancy, right? The reality is people still live on the two-dimensional GIS to the best, and three-dimensional, okay, they are living it, okay, more from a visualization standpoint, but not beyond that yet. Okay, and AR VR is an add-on to that. Are you with me?
I
Yes,
think
sir.
it is for students.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why it is still at the fancy level. Okay. How many of us go and wear the 3D glasses in a, okay? It's okay to go and watch it in a movie theater, but do we wear a 3D glass going outside? We don't. Facebook has come with whatever that metaverse or whatever. Okay. If it,
Oculus.
yeah, if it was so great, okay, it would have been in demand like crazy. Why is it that it's still not there? Right? Who will want to put all those things and act like robots and so on and so forth? Like, okay, so that's my perception. Okay, that's my view, because I've seen that, okay, in the industry, people, there is a big what should I say, AIML is there anyway, like, right? We are seeing the benefits of it, but something like a drones or something like AR, VR, these things are still at a fancy level only. Yeah, so the actual usage is still going to take some time. Okay, it's not nowhere so close yet.
So we have a question from Tumin Pal in the chat. The question says, are there any regulatory or policy frameworks that need to be considered when integrating geospatial intelligence into urban planning initiatives?
So there would be some, definitely. There would be some. But as a student, like, right, what is your are you looking to get into that kind of a law kind of a thing, or regulatory side of things, or what is it like, right? Because everywhere, for example, there would be some regions where you can't go and even have satellite imagery. You're not supposed to have. Okay, you can't fly a drone, right? So that is city to city dependent. Okay, so something that is allowed in one city may or may not be allowed in another place, like, right? So there would be always regulatory aspects, and they govern the overall urban planning, right? So if say, for example, I want to go and construct a house, okay, in a hill station kind of or a hilly area or in an agricultural land, I'm not allowed to. Okay, those kind of regulatory aspects would be always there, like, right? So
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the last question of this session, we have from Obishikta. It is, how open source can shape GIS in the future?
I think
why do you want to save GIS? Okay, it's an evergreen what should I say, stream of IT. Okay, it's an everstream okay, stream of IT, evergreen stream of IT, Sada Bahar, okay, Sada Zinda kind of, okay. It is if you look at open source versus COTS, like Esri or something, Esri is trying to dominate like everything, everywhere, like, right? There are two mindsets in the industry. Okay, one mindset says, okay, take only the trusted products. One mindset says, okay, go with not so trusted, chalega, but I'm okay too, right? It could be because of money, it could be because of that scientific mindset or that exploratory mindset or whatever. Okay, but more and more, if you look at the GIS market, okay, ISRI is trying to occupy it. It's occupied more than 50-60% of the market, I'll say. Okay, while there is the GE small worlds or hexagons or, okay, Pitney Bows and, okay, intergraphs and so on and so forth. Okay, ISRI kind of software are there. And this is in GIS, like, right? Outside GIS also you have the same, the mindsets are only two. Either they say, okay, I don't want anything. I just want only my product. Okay, I want to go with a COTS product only, commercial of, okay, buy and take and deploy, right? For that kind of a mindset, okay, you can't have only one mindset. Okay, these two mindset will forever exist, right? So there will always be this thing that, okay, can a QGIS beat ISRI or ISRI beat QGIS or this and that? Okay, of late, the trend that we see in the market is people say, hey, you would have heard something like low code, no code platforms coming in and etc. Right? And you now have the ISRI experience builder also, right? They're saying, Baba, तुमको programming आता है नहीं आता, doesn't matter. Okay, जाओ फिर भी website बना लो अपना. Yeah, portal for ArcGIS, for example. Now it is okay. It's getting converted into this one and so on, right? So on one side, okay, do things very easily and achieve by spending more money. On the other side, right, go and okay, what's that? Configure karo, build karo, extra functionality dalo, all those things, which is what our open source thing is about. So these two mindsets exist, okay, and it exists in the corporate world also. I can name a few companies, for example, UK का अगर मैं network rail लेता हूँ अगर, okay, हम लोगों ने उनका इसरी भी है, बट बाकी पूरा हमने इसरी से इसरी को हटा दिया पूरा कंप्लीटली और सिर्फ ओपन सोर्स में बना दे रहे हैं,
Yeah.
वेब, मोबाइल, एवरीथिंग. Okay, similarly, if I take the same principle to one company in US, for example, Pennsylvania Electric Power वगैरह वगैरह ऐसे जो, they say नहीं बाबा कुछ भी हो, मुझे I just need only SRE. Okay, you tell me a product, you configure. ISRI survey 1 2 3 डालो या field maps डालो. I don't want any development, right? So so सदाबहार है दोनों, open source भी रहेगा हमेशा
Correct.
and records भी रहेगा. Okay,
I
so
think I'll just add on to that a bit. Like, as per me, if you ask me, my experience has only been open source, and my entire experience has been using open source tools. And I have always longed to learn ISRI, and I've never got a chance in my entire 10 years of experience. Like, I was working with Amazon in my past, and Amazon even had ArcGIS, but we were essentially using open source tools to do
exactly.
that. Like, we had a lot of our data using Postgres or PostGIS. Now, do you say PostGIS is not good? No, it's equally good. This condition of whether open source will shape the GIS in future or not, I think it's not in one hands. It goes with the SRI also. You can go with that also. Totally depends on your understanding, you like what, and also on the organization or the clients you work with, and that's essentially where it works. And then there are companies like where I work right now is Bolt, and then it's entirely open source tools which we have been building up. So I'll not say that ISRI is bad. No, it's equally good. There are, as I think Ravi said, 50-60% of market still uses ISRI, and then there's an equally 40-50% which uses open source. So
Right.
it's equal weightage both the
And
sides.
one good thing is what ISRI is thinking, the rest of the IT is thinking these days. Like, okay, so the low code, no code platform, ये
Yeah.
easy configure करके deploy करो वाला जो ये mindset जो है, okay, so ISRI शुरू करता है, and then okay, the rest of there are so
Yeah.
many other things coming in and saying, okay,
So
let's do basic. Okay, so very just configure करो डालो, configure
yeah.
करो डालो,
Yeah.
right?
So an example of no code or low code is like Microsoft Power Platform. If you want to look apart from GIS now, it's Microsoft Power Platform. So you can read about it and then see, like, basically you don't have to do any coding and you get a web page or whatnot, like you get buttons and everything in that way.
Thanks for bringing that up, in fact, Rajat, because I can tell you team, like, right, so आप लोग जो अभी ये कर रहे हो GIS, उसके साथ साथ if you can even spend a little time on Microsoft Dynamic 365 ऐसा कुछ,
Yeah.
या Power Apps जो भी है, like, right, the future is okay where Microsoft is pushing its power platform, but they cannot avoid GIS, so they want ISRI to be embedded into Power Apps,
Yeah.
okay, and get the solution out. I can tell you, I am at the moment having at least 4 or 5 opportunities, okay, on just this work, okay, and the client can be government, private, really doesn't matter, okay. Singapore is adopting this one. Singapore is one of the finest GIS adopters in the world. Across the world, if there is one country, it is Singapore. Right, it comes top, okay, and they are going with this Microsoft Power Apps, or there is something similar like that, a pane or something like that is there,
Yeah.
and then Microsoft Dynamics, like, right, so that's where you configure and then also embed GIS into it, right?
Yeah.
So this is a trend that is picking up. This has started to pick up over the last 1 year or so, 1.5 years, and this is going to be like a tsunami, okay, over the next few years, like. Okay, so people will say, okay, I don't want development. ये लो, configure करो, चिपकाओ और चलाओ, right? So IRCTC might come back and say, okay, IRCTC reservation book करना है, साथ में मुझे map चाहिए. Okay, they will translate that entire, okay, I don't know how many millions of lines of code into, okay, a Power Apps platform with a map in, okay, tied together, जोड़ लगा दिया और चला दिया, काम चालू. That's one of the finest trends that's happening. Okay. So if you are trying to get into IT companies, okay, think of Power Apps also as an add-on, right, to your GIS. Okay.
Pragya, you are on mute if you're speaking.
So sorry, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. With that, we would like to conclude the session, and I'd like Sakshi to go and give an ending speech. So, and also the link has been shared in the chat room. So I kindly request all of the participants to click on the link and submit the form. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pragya. Good evening, everyone. This has been a very interesting and an engaging session. So first of all, I would like to thank my team members who have been working and coordinating amazingly. And I would like to thank Dr. Dharamveer Singh sir for guiding us throughout the session. Also, I would like to thank our director, TP Singh sir, and Deputy Director, Madam Vidya Patkar, for providing us with this platform. I would like to extend my earnest gratitude to Sonal ma'am, our IT team, and everyone in the audience. And my most sincere and unfeigned thanks is for Mr. Rajat Chopra and Mr. Ravi Achalla. Thank you so much, sir, for spending this time with us, clearing our doubts, and for each and every questions you have answered, and for each and every encouragement that has been caused through your answers for the students. Thank you so much. And at last, I would like to thank my colleagues for being patient and for coming forward and asking questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you and have a great time. All good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, sir. So you can leave the meeting.